What's your favorite scary movies?
Yo, welcome back in the motherfucking house. Nah. Yo, it's your boy, Walterdoom, back for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. Yes. How y'all feeling today? I'm kind of hyped right now. Everything is cool with me. Today I took a little nice walk around my neighborhood a bit, just to get a bit of exercise. I mean, I did more than just walk around my neighborhood, literally. But yeah, I took a walk around my neighborhood, watched this show called Dead Like Me that is on Tubi TV. Brought me back in the days when I used to watch this show, man. This show is like hella cool. It's a little bit philosophical in a way, kind of a dark comedy. But basically the premise around that show is just about this girl who becomes a reaper, and she's taking people's souls, and she just learned about becoming a reaper, bro. It's very interesting. It lasted for like 2 seasons. Right now I'm on season 1, episode 3. And the shit is the shit. I mean, it brought me back to the days when I used to watch it on regular television. I didn't realize like the show was actually a cable television show, because I used to have cable, but not anymore, because it's just who really owns cable television, really. I mean, for probably those who like to really watch live entertainment, I mean, no one really owns like a cable service anymore, really like that, unless it's packaged with internet. But I'm watching the show, and yeah, I mean, you get all the fucks, shit, pussies, and all that, all those words thrown in there, and it's just exciting to see the show in its full glory. But other than that, I mean, yeah, what's happening today? We're going to talk about a couple of things today. We're going to talk about this movie called Terrifier, if any of you guys seen it. That's on Netflix. That's a very interesting movie that I've seen. And we're going to also talk about Unsane and my feelings towards the main character, Soya Valentini. But before we talk about that, let's talk about some other shit that I'm watching right now. I don't know how many of you guys are actually watching this Netflix original. It's called Inside the Criminal Mind. And it's a very interesting show, I have to say. I'm literally on the first episode. I haven't gotten anywhere further than that for the time being, but I will probably plan on watching more of it later on, maybe this weekend or coming soon. But in the first episode, it talks about the mind of serial killers. It talks about killers like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Zodiac killer, killers like that, John Wayne Gacy, you know, all those famous people that we hear about. We hear about like how their minds it's just, we learn about the stigmatism, or like the, I guess, stereotypes of what makes a serial killer, which is interesting. I mean, I guess the FBI came up with this thing called the McDonough Triangle, and it was basically coming up with like 3 little stereotypes, just bedwetting, fire setting, and animal cruelty. They kind of use those factors to kind of determine that to be serial killers. Now, in the age of technology and advanced science, we could see as stuff like that could be kind of misleading in a way. I mean, I could see growing up in the 60s, I mean, and especially for people of minority races, I mean, it was real probably fucked up for them just to hear like, oh yeah, I wet the bed. Oh my God, you wet the bed? You're a fucking serial killer. Like, how the fuck does that correlate? I mean, everybody wets the bed. Hey, just because I wet the bed a couple of times, that makes me a serial killer? I mean, that has to be the most craziest thing ever. But that was the shit that they were rolling back in the 1960s, man. It's crazy. But not only did they did that, I mean, they talked about like some of the, I guess, things like the serial killers like to do, as far as like their childhood, the way they were growing up, their development, their brain development, and also just for the simple fact, they were talking about how their certain parts of their brain was also diminished, which was causing them to be serial killers. I mean, it was real interesting if you guys ever watched this show. But yeah, they use biology to kind of like determine like the killer's brain activity and how it functions, which is why they kill the people that they kill. They also talk about the phases for murdering also. Just like it goes through like 7 different steps, which is interesting to me. I mean, these things, if anybody ever wonder, I mean, I was fascinated by that because I'm always fascinated, like, why does anybody want to kill somebody and then not only kill one person, but they go on like a killing spree? I mean, not to say it's okay. It's not okay. It's never okay to kill anybody. But it's a fascination to wonder, like, what brings a person to do such a heinous act? And to kind of see all these factors into play. I mean, it's not the complete and dead end factor, because I could see it as maybe there's like something more than just like a fucked up childhood or a fucked up relationship that brings a person to this point, but those are contributing factors. And it was very interesting to see that. One thing I gotta say that I found interesting which is 2 things, and these are 2 things I didn't know. I mean, I knew about Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy, but what I did not know is what they did as far as work. So in the show, they talk about how like some serial killers, they're not just people who are clutched into darkness and just hidden from the world and just this person that's brooding in the dark. No, these people are literally sometimes people who are real successful, charismatic, and sometimes not even the bad looking person in the room. Like, these people fucking totally look normal. I mean, man, and it's crazy. I mean, looking at niggas like fucking Bundy and Dahmer, and I'm just looking at them like, dude, like, these fucking dudes will be like drooled over by all these fucking women. Like that one motherfucker. I don't know if you guys remember that one model dude who had a mugshot, and all these fucking women were just like all over this dude saying like all this derogatory stuff. Well, not really derogatory, but just perverted stuff about him, talking about like, oh yeah, he could murder this pussy anytime or some shit like that. I mean, they probably didn't put in those words, but it was definitely in the line of that. But the way those girls were seeing that dude, I mean, that dude, he managed to turn his whole life around from being a gang member to now a fucking model, and still modeling to this day. Congrats to him. I mean, hey, he beat the odds, so that could work for anybody. The way women looked at him, I felt like women looked at Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer. Well, apparently Dahmer's murder victims were usually male, so he was probably homosexual himself, so he probably just hung around like gay bars and what have you. But those dudes, is all I'm saying, they shouldn't have no problem with like relationship, but apparently they had something more fucked up going on with them. Now, Ted Bundy, which I didn't know, he actually held like many part-time jobs and also helped in the Republican Party in a campaign and shit. I did not fucking know that. This dude was a fucking psych major, which was crazy. I'm just like, what the fuck? I did not know about this dude. It's funny because we hear so much stories about these dudes and their murder tactics. As far as like people who aren't really knowledgeable about these guys, we hear more about their murders than the way they grew up. And the way Ted Bundy grew up was very fucked up, which honestly, I'm not justifying his murders, but it's like, damn, how can a man not be broken by that shit? But apparently, when Ted Bundy was growing up, he grew up with his grandparents who claimed that they were his adopted parents, and grew up with his mother who claims that she was his sister. Now, I don't know how old the mother was, but she must have had him at a very young age just to say, like, oh yeah, I'm your sister, and this, that, and the other. And I'm pretty sure when he finally found out about, like, who his mother was, his whole identity, and whatever, that probably fucked his mind up and probably really put a strain on a relationship with him and women to where he couldn't trust them. I can't blame him for that shit. Who could fault him for that? That's some fucked up shit right there. But it's definitely an interesting show. I mean, it's definitely something that I feel like everybody should really check out. I am probably going to check out the rest of it. I know the next episode is about kidnapping. I haven't watched it yet. If you guys watched it, or at least watched the whole series, it's a 4-part series. If any of you guys watched it, I mean, leave it in the comments section. Tell me all about it, you know, because we're all in this together. I mean, I wish there was a way to kind of like prevent these things from happening, but it's like, after watching this documentary series, I mean, it's clear sometimes what happens in your childhood does play a factor, and this is something I know already. It plays a factor when you're grown. And it's fucked up because it's like, for those guys, they didn't ask for any of this shit to happen to them. Like John Wayne Gacy, he got raped by a family member when he was young. He didn't ask for that. And basically after that, I mean, his traumatizing experience got played out when he's an adult. Despite the fact that he was a successful businessman running his family's business at a restaurant. And he performed as a clown at parties on the weekend. It's crazy, but he still ended up raping young boys and murdering them. It's crazy. It's real crazy. But definitely you guys check out Inside the Criminal Mind. It's on Netflix. Check it out. But on to what we all want to talk about. The Terrifier. Or Terrifier, actually. Alright. I'm pretty sure most of you guys are wondering, like, okay, well, what was the point of that intro of Criminal Mind? Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about it for a second, because Terrifier is a serial killer himself. Yes. I mean, well, Terrifier is actually not the name of the character, but his name is Art the Clown. And I don't know how many of you guys actually watched the movie Terrifier, but the shit is fucking crazy. I mean, I didn't know about this movie until it came onto Netflix. I mean, apparently it's an old movie that came out in 2016, I believe. Yeah, it came out in 2016, and yeah, I didn't hear about it until this year, till they put it on Netflix. I actually thought Terrifier was a Netflix original, but it's actually not. But the movie is actually based on the character Art the Clown, which Art the Clown is actually based on a movie that was made before then called All Hallows Eve. And if you guys want to check out All Hallows Eve, you better check out the one place I've been telling you guys to check movies at, as far as horror movies, Tubi. Tubi, man. That it has Dead Like Me, and it has All Hallows Eve. They just recently put the first Child's Play back on there. Definitely check it out. But before we jump into Terrifier, I'm going to talk about All Hallows Eve for a little bit. So in All Hallows Eve, it's basically an anthology horror film where we get to see like everything as kind of like not really a found footage kind of thing, but the way the story is told, for like, each segment because the movie breaks everything off in like 3 segments. And they're all pretty much based around, well, loosely based around Art the Clown. Is there's a videotape that's found, and it's found by one of the characters that's called Sarah, and she's played by Katie McGuire. She also appears in Terrifier also, which I didn't realize that, but she appears as a news reporter in the movie, which I didn't realize that until like maybe later on after when I was making my outline for this show. But what happens in the movie with Sarah, she finds, well, she's babysitting like a friend's children, and they stumble upon a videotape that was given to them in a trick-or-treat bag. They end up watching the video, and the video is told in a series of like horror shorts. So what they're doing is taking every story that they see as just a movie, which really it wasn't just a movie. Well, at least in this film, everything that's happening to them is not just a movie. So, and before we talk about more about what's in those movies, just so you know, like those horror shorts that are in All Hallows Eve, it's actually the work for Damien Leone, who's also the director of this movie. Those are like his earlier works. So he has like 2 earlier works in there, which is Terrifier, which is the last short in the movie, and The Ninth Circle, which is the first short in the movie. And those are all earlier short films in the movie All Hallows Eve that he wanted to incorporate for everybody to see. So he was kind of trying to establish Art the Clown early on. But yeah, so they end up watching the films. In the first film, it's really fucked up. Man, I mean, it's almost like you're in a whole nightmarish scene. It's fucking insane. It's almost like being in Hellraiser's hell, almost. And Hellraiser's hell is, if it wasn't full of BDSM type shit in there, this shit would be Hellraiser's hell right here. And it was real fucked up because there was these women that were literally being chained in there, and they were getting hacked off bad. I mean, it was crazy, bro. Like, one of the craziest things that we see in the fucking movie is this woman, she's tied up and she's pregnant. And what we see is like the demons that are around them, they come to the pregnant woman, they cut her belly open, giving her a C-section, and they pull out the fucking baby out of the stomach just like nothing. Like nothing. Like, and this woman is fucking crying and screaming and all that shit. It's so fucked up. She was just like, ah. Oh, man. I mean, if it was Chucky doing that shit, you know what would Chucky be doing? He'll be doing this. Yeah, it was real fucked up. In the second film, well, the second short film, I should say, is where a woman, she is all alone, and she just moved into her new house with her husband. And she's all alone. She's trying to do whatever she was doing. I can't really remember what she was doing, but she was on the phone with one of her friends. And then she gets invaded. And what we see is like she's being attacked by like fucking aliens, bro. I mean, sorry for the spoilers, you guys. There's going to be a lot of spoilers. I should have said that ahead of time. But there's definitely going to be spoilers in this shit. But she gets attacked by aliens and all that. She's just running and scared and all this other shit. That one, it didn't have too many fucked up shit that happened in it, but it's definitely something you'll be like, oh, run, bitch, run. Oh, man. But that one was cool. The Terrifier one, now this is the one we want to pay attention to because this is the one that kind of sets up the whole Art the Clown anthology and what have you. Now, like I said, each short film kind of loosely was around Art the Clown. The first one, we see Art the Clown kind of around the chick that is going to get abducted and be sent in the fucking hell with all the other women. In the last film, well, not the last film, but the second film, we see Art the Clown in the movie, but it's not Art the Clown himself personally. We just see a picture of him. So it's kind of like almost loosely based around him in a way. But in the third one, this is where shit gets real. And this is where we learn about what Art the Clown does in his tactics and how much he does not give a shit. Because man, did he not give a shit. But one thing I could say is fucking Art the Clown is very vicious. He is vicious. I feel like with this character, he is definitely the new icon for horror in 2017. Well, in the 2010s, I should really say. Argue with me if you want. I think Art the Clown is about to be the one starting off in the late 2010s to the early 2020s as being the face of new horror. And he's kind of bringing back that nostalgic feel because we have not seen anybody as vicious of a monster, really, in my opinion, since fucking Jason, bro. And that was from the last Jason film that I saw that came out like, early 2023, 2004, some shit like that. Like, we haven't seen, like, really anybody that vicious. I mean, everything I feel like nowadays in horror is basically centered around paranormal type activities, ghosts, exorcisms, demons, dolls that are possessed, and just shit that I just feel like sometimes it's just a little too corny. If it's not anything like Saw or like fucking Jason, sometimes I just think it comes off as corny. I mean, and I'm starting to change my tune a bit after watching a little bit more horror movies that are based around paranormal activities, demons, exorcisms, movies that have subject matter as that. But it doesn't take away from the one thing that I love, because I always think these dudes are always the most savaged out of anybody in horror. And Art the Clown is definitely that. So enough babbling, but let me get to like All Hallows Eve, and then we're going to talk about Terrifier, also about why this dude is so fucking savage. Now, in the Terrifier short, this dude is so fucking savage. He does the most fucked up thing that we see starting off the film. I mean, we don't see it, but we hear about it. So this dude, he goes into a fucking bathroom and pisses and shits everywhere in the fucking bathroom. Now that's disgusting, first off. That's disgusting. That's the worst fucking thing anybody could do to anyone working at a job. I know if somebody pissed shit all over the place in the bathrooms at my job, and I would be the one cleaning that shit up, I would be pissed the fuck off. And I'm pretty sure anybody else would be pissed the fuck off too. Now, the thing with Art the Clown that makes him kind of creepy is that this dude does not say a fucking word. So he won't be like fucking Ghostface and say some shit like,
What's your favorite scary movie?
or he won't be like Freddy and say some shit like,
Oh, don't worry about my little Aaron, boy. The only thing to fear is fear himself.
no, this dude is just totally silent. Just silent throughout the whole fucking film. We don't hear anything from him at all. So he pisses and shits all over the place. And he kind of just like looks at the store clerk and just like points and laughs at him. And the dude is fucking ugly. I mean, if you guys were afraid of clowns before, for those that are afraid of clowns, this motherfucker will freak you out the most because he has like has an ugly face, has ugly teeth, and his clothes are definitely creep worthy. But yeah, he pisses and shits all over the place. But then he eventually gets back at the clerk when the clerk is kind of like helping out this girl that's the main character in this story. But he gets back at her ass. The way he gets back at her, not back at her, I'm sorry. The way he gets back at him, the store clerk, is this dude literally cuts this dude's fucking head off. Like, he kills him, cuts this dude's fucking head off. He's just cutting his head off with a hacksaw. Like, the chick that wants the store clerk's help, she goes into, like, the fucking store. She gets terrified once when she sees Art the Clown just looking at her with dead eyes, just smiling away. And he's just sawing away. And you just get this little quick cut scenes where you see her and Art, and each time you see Art cutting into like the fucking dude, you see more viciousness out of this dude's eyes. I mean, it's fucking crazy. I mean, if you were creeped out by shit like this shit will fucking creep you out. I was sitting there like, fuck, this dude is fucked up. Like, this dude gives no type of fucks. None at all. Yeah, that was definitely savage on his part. There's another scene where he finally captures the girl because it's a whole cat and mouse race for this chick. And when he finally captures her, it's so funny because it's the way he gets her. She managed to escape him and she gets a ride by a guy. So he's driving her around, trying to take her wherever she needs to be. Well, because she's trying to get away. She's trying to get to wherever she want to go. It doesn't matter where she want to go. She just want to be anywhere. So the guy is driving her. She's scared as shit and crying and shit and just feeling relieved for the moment. But driving right behind them is fucking Art. Art is right behind them, driving. And this dude, and here's another reason why he doesn't give no types of fucks. And this is how vicious he is. You would think for a clown that is cutting people, you would think like, oh, this dude's just a knife man. That's all he is, you know. Fuck him. He ain't gonna do nothing with a gun. This dude pulls out a fucking gun and shoots the driver in the head. The fucking car hits the fucking tree. Girl is knocked the fuck out. When she comes to, she wakes up and she is realizing all her fucking limbs is cut off, legs, arms. The dude fucking Art the Clown cuts out her fucking meat in her tits. Out of her tits, bro. He literally cut her tits off. That shit is fucking nuts. It was crazy. This is why I say this dude is savage in this whole fucking scene. This dude is just laughing at her like, and it's not even a laugh. It's not even a laugh like Chucky's laugh. This dude is silently laughing at her, laughing and pointing, and this is what makes it creepy. Like, you get the creepy music playing in the end with the violins and shit, and you just see this dude just laughing and pointing, and it's just crazy. I'm just like, this dude's a fucking savage. You can't fuck with Art the Clown. Now, for you guys out there that's already being a little skeptical, if you're being skeptical on his savageness, and you're just like, oh, well, it's just some fucking dude in a clown costume that has a gun and a bunch of knives and saws and shit like that. Just shoot that motherfucker in his head and he's done. I got something for you guys, and it comes in the movie Terrifier. Now, see, with All Hallows Eve, that movie came out in 2013. There was a sequel. I haven't watched it yet, but All Hallows Eve 2 is on Tubi also for you guys to check out. So if you guys want to get Tubi, I highly suggest it. It's free. You don't have to pay a subscription fee. There are commercials, but the commercials don't really last that long. I have it on my phone and I have it on my PlayStation 4 also. So if you guys have a system and you don't want to put it on your phone, go ahead and put it on your system and definitely check it out. But I haven't checked out to see All Hallows Eve 2 to see if Art the Clown appears on there. I will check it out pretty soon and I will probably update you guys on that. But we're going to move to Terrifier right now. And I'm going to have to say, the savageness got fucking real in this one. So all the things that we learned about Art the Clown in fucking All Hallows Eve, he has the same behavior, but he ups that shit a little bit more in Terrifier. And believe me, that shit was really upped up. He really ante up on the killing on this one. I mean, I really can't say if we could really call Terrifier a sequel per se, but it definitely upped the spinoff for this dude and his own movie real. Like, it was a very good movie. You guys really need to check out Terrifier if you haven't checked it out yet. But moving on, like I said, this dude gets real fucking savage in this one too. Again, he smears piss and shit in the fucking bathroom. And the owners have a problem with it. Now in this movie is actually dealing with 3 women. Tara, who is played by Jenna Cannell, and my God, let me say this. I mean, I'm not trying to be creepy or anything, but yeah, she was a hot thing in that movie. I mean, man, she was bomb. She was definitely bomb looking, and I was really hoping she survived. Oh man, yeah, I was really hoping that she survived through the whole movie. But yeah, the movie was based on her. Victoria, who was played by Samantha Scafidi, she played Tara's sister, and Dawn, who was played by Catherine Coran. I don't really know how to say her name. Sorry, but she played like the slutty friend and all that. Yeah, I mean, definitely the movie had its horror tropes. And that was some of the things I noticed. Things that I noticed in Terrifier, which I also noticed in All Hallows Eve, is that they try to make it more nostalgic, but new. And what I mean by nostalgic, I mean like they give the movie a very 80s feel, especially with the text. The text reminds me of like an old school Jason movie with the text, like just the old school, like sort of bloody looking text. Also with the way they filmed it, as far as like a little bit of grain that they gave to the film. They gave it kind of like that 80s filtered look, but not too 80s. It's still like, you could tell you're looking at a movie in the 2010s and not something straight from the 80s, because it's not that clear. But it does have its graininess, which gives it that appeal. But moving on to the characters, Tara and Dawn, they're coming from like a Halloween party, and they run into Art the Clown. Now, they see Art the Clown, and Tara is kind of freaked out by him because he looks at her and gives her this long, dead look. Now, Dawn, like I mentioned before, she's supposed to be like the slutty friend. So she does all these slutty things, which to me, I just was like, I don't know if I want to see her live throughout this entire movie. I don't know if I want to see if this character survives. I hope this character doesn't survive. But she does everything to kind of antagonize Tara a bit. And the things that she does is like, she says very weird, and she's just kind of out there. She says weird shit to like Art the Clown, which Art the Clown is not really paying attention to her. They find Art the Clown at the fucking restaurant, and Dawn goes over there and starts taking pictures with him. And he's not even like paying attention to her. He's just paying attention to Tara. He has a long dead stare at Tara, and Tara is freaked out by it. And Dawn, she's just like not really paying attention. And she says things that are just weird, like, oh yeah, that was the longest piss of my life, like a straight dude. Or after she takes selfies with Art the Clown, she tells that dude like, hey, you got 8 likes, and calls like Art the Clown Tara's boyfriend, and says things like, when they were at a fucking abandoned warehouse, well, that was about to be exterminated because they had an exterminator there. She said, because Tara had to take a piss, she said to the character Mike, who is the exterminator, she says some shit like, hey, let my friend take a piss. She'll make it worth your while. So, I mean, just saying a bunch of hoe ass shit. And to me, I'm just thinking like, damn, dude, like this gotta be embarrassing to have her as a friend, bro. Like, she's saying all this crazy shit. Like, come on, dude, chill the fuck out. Like, chill the fuck out. Oh man, I guess when like Art the Clown had her tied up upside down and he hacked that bitch in half, I was just like, okay, I'm not bothered by it. But that shit was fucking savage, bro. That's another level of his savagery. This dude just literally saw Dawn in half. And when we see this shit, we actually see this shit happening. Unlike in All Hallows Eve, where we don't really see him hack off the tits off of the one chick, we actually see him actually cut this bitch Dawn in half. And it's so crazy because in the way the movie kind of made her, they kind of made her the girl that you don't want to see survive. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys actually felt that way about a character in a movie, especially a horror movie. But there's just those certain characters where you're just like, man, I just can't wait till this person dies. And that's the way I felt about Dawn. I was just like, you know what? I can't wait till this character dies. I'm kind of sick of her already. Leave Tara alone. Let her survive throughout this whole thing. But take this bitch Dawn out. Oh yeah, that shit was fucking savage. What's also savage was when this nigga was in a fight with Tara and she was kicking this dude's Art's ass. I was looking at Tara like, fuck that dude up. Fuck him up and get the fuck out of there, bitch. She was fucking him up. And what was crazy is like when she was about to fuck him up, because she was fucking him up with a 2x4, but she didn't have no fucking needles on that shit or anything. She just was fucking him up with a straight up board. So when she was about to like start really beating this dude's ass, this dude was like about to get up. Well, actually he was getting up because she was like, get up, get the fuck up. And she was yelling at his ass. Soon as this dude was about to get up, this dude shot this bitch in the fucking leg. No feelings. No feelings at all. Man, Chucky, if you were doing that shit, I bet you would do some shit like this. Yeah, he shot her in the leg. No feelings at all. Cold as ice. Cold as ice. Man. I just was like, damn, this dude fucked her up. I'm gonna jump ahead of the fight and move on to what happened to Victoria. So Victoria was trying to get away from this dude, and he was at his absolute savage with everything. I mean, bodies was piling up everywhere. So she managed to get away from him, and she managed to get into an area where it was kind of locked up. Well, it had a lock on it, and she was just there waiting. She was just like, okay, I'm safe for the moment. You know what this motherfucker Art did? This dude came through with a fucking truck. Actually, he came through one of the exterminator's truck, because since Mike couldn't answer his phone because that fucker Art took that motherfucker out, his home dude, I guess it was probably his boss, I can't remember his name, he came through also. So Art took care of that dude. So he took the car that was out there, literally came through, smashed through that motherfucker, and was like already like in that bitch. The girl Victoria, she heard the fucking car. She tried to run as fast as she can, and her little ass was taken out. I'm gonna tell you this, my guy. I mean, shit, she was having problems after that. Her ass was knocked out. Now, as soon as she was knocked out, this motherfucker Art went into work. And the way he went into work, man, he fucked her whole face up, and he started eating her face. Now, while he was eating her face, the police was coming up. Now, the police was only coming up because they got a call by Mike, who managed to escape from the first knockout by Art and managed to help Victoria out. Got to a place where there was a phone, called the police, told them like, hey, we can't stay here because this motherfucker is going to kill us if we stay in one spot. So let's just say Mike didn't make it after that. So this dude Art is eating the bitch's face. Like, he's literally eating this bitch's face. And this is what I didn't know. I mean, I knew this motherfucker after watching the first movie, after watching Terrifier once, and then watching All Hallows Eve afterwards, knowing all the little tactics he liked to do. Eating a person's face or eating somebody's flesh, that's some new shit that they added for him. And that shit's crazy. But yeah, he cut that bitch's face off and started eating the flesh off of her face. And the police, they were on his ass. So they wanted him to put his hands up. He put up one hand. And you know, sure enough, this motherfucker wanted to get his gun out. What this dude does, he gets his gun, but he doesn't shoot the cops. He actually shoots himself. Once again, spoiler alert, people, spoils. But hey, I already warned you once, and by then, I mean, you guys should know now, this is gonna be a spoil alert show. But I mean, this shouldn't matter because you guys should still check it out. But yeah, he shoots himself and pretty much kills himself. Now, you would think just because he killed himself, that's the end of him. But it's not. While his body is in the coroner's office, they talk about like how how Art killed all these people. So the coroner, he looks at Art's body. As soon as he opens Art's body, a bunch of flickering and flashing happens. And you know what happens? This motherfucker Art comes back to life and kills the coroner. That shit was crazy. So that just tells us this dude Art, he's omnipotent. You can't kill this motherfucker. He is definitely the epitome of what makes a new monster horror type figure. What is one thing that we learned about Freddy, Jason, and Chucky? Them motherfuckers can't die. You can't kill them. Each time you think you actually killed them, they come back. You can't kill those dudes, and you can't kill Art the Clown. this definitely is the new face for horror. This dude has everything, the makings and everything. The dude is fucking savage. This dude is an expert weapon tactician. He's very calculated and tactile. Well, I don't know if I could say really he's tactile. I really can't say he's tactile too much. There were parts where I was just like, is this motherfucker stupid? But he is definitely terrorizing. He is overbearing. He's not intimidating like fucking Jason or Freddy are. I mean, in those movies, anybody coming in contact with Freddy or Jason are scared shitless already. I mean, people are scared shitless from Art, but everybody interacts with Art. And that's the difference between Art and Jason, Freddy, and all those other characters. People actually interact with Art, even though Art doesn't interact with them. Everybody just sees him as another clown in a costume. But he is definitely more than just a guy in a clown costume. This guy is a fucking savage. A killer. But yeah, if you guys want to check out Terrifier, definitely check it out on Netflix. All Hallows Eve, that's on Tubi. Hallows Eve 2, that's on Tubi also. But yeah, now that's my take on Terrifier. Now we're going to jump on to Insane. Yeah. Now, before I start getting into talking about Insane for a minute, let me talk about the reason why I watched it first. Now, I saw the movie commercial on not Netflix, but on YouTube. And they will run it. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys usually be on YouTube and you guys see like the Amazon Prime type movies or Amazon type movies that they're promoting on fucking YouTube and all that. Everything's like Bleecker Street and all that type of stuff. But I saw like Insane, the commercial for it, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Now, for those that haven't seen it before, Insane is made in 2018 of this year. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh. It stars Claire Foy as Sawyer Valentini, who is being stalked by a stalker that's been following her since Boston, since she was living out there, which is played by Joshua Leonard, who plays the stalker, David Strine. And what happens is that Sawyer gets committed into a mental institution involuntarily. And the reason why she gets involuntarily instituted into that insane asylum is because she admitted to a psychiatrist that she's having suicidal thoughts because she's seeing her stalker everywhere. And that she's becoming bored with her monotonous life of taking a job, moving places, changing phone numbers, changing addresses, changing emails, and just like anything to kind of protect herself from her stalker. Also in the movie, we see Jay Farrell. He plays like one of the patients named Nate Hoffman. And we also got Amy Irvine from the Carrie series, who is playing her mother, Angela Valentini, also. The movie is definitely very interesting to watch. The one thing that if you're not watching with just a straight point of view, and here's my take on it, the movie is good. The movie is like, there's nothing really wrong with the movie per se. There's nothing I could really complain about the movie as far as like premise, plot, and whatever. The thing about the movie that it just kept nagging at me for a little bit. And that's the simple fact that the main character was a more crazier one than the fucking stalker. I know some of you guys are probably like, well, Walter, how is that possible? I mean, she had a stalker and that dude was violent. I mean, not only did he kill like a bunch of people while pretending to be someone that worked at a hospital, but he went on a murder spree on certain people in the movie that I'm not going to spoil for you guys. This time this is going with somewhat without spoilers, but there might be spoilers in it. But he went on a killing spree and killed certain characters. Now, here's the thing. Yes, he did do that. Yes, he did stalk her. But he is a stalker. She was a complete sociopath and kind of a psychopath at the same time. Now, let me explain. Now, before I explain myself, let's kind of like describe what a sociopath or psychopath is for those that are kind of like not in the know a bit. Now, I was kind of reading some stuff to kind of help kind of protect my logic for a bit. And this is how a sociopath is described. A person with a personality disorder manifesting itself in extreme antisocial attitudes and behavior and a lack of conscience. Keep that definition in mind. Now, the reason why I call this girl a psychopath, and this is no knock on anybody who has like real mental issues. This is all for entertainment. You know, I know there's people that's out there suffering also. I mean, plenty of people are suffering. Everybody's suffering from some kind of disorder, in my opinion. But this is no knock on people who have real mental health issues. I'm just trying to state opinion about a movie and a fake character. So, and this is also no knock on for maybe women who probably take this as kind of feminist or sexist. This is no knock on them. There's no knock on y'all either. This is all in fun, good fun, entertainment. Hey, something to argue about in the comments section. But without further ado, let's get into the shit. So anyway, my first argument about why this girl was a sociopath and clinging on to the definition of it, she really had no true remorse or shame or thought about her having real issues. When we first see her before she gets committed, she feels very entitled that she does not belong in a mental institution, even though she has like a record history of mental instability. And for her to go to see a psychiatrist or psychologist, I should say, to see a psychologist and tell them that she's having suicidal thoughts, it's like, how do they not react and put her into an involuntary institution? It makes no sense. But throughout the movie, she's been parading around like a queen. She has no guilt or shame about what kind of problem she has. Now, I know that's not a very strong argument to start off with first, but that is just one of the builders. So, as a sociopath, some of them take advantage of kind of manipulating a situation. Now, Jay Farrell's character, Nate, he is definitely one who got manipulated. Also, who else got manipulated was her one night stand. Well, the one night stand that never happened. So we're going to talk about the one night stand first, and then we're going to talk about Nate afterwards. So with the one night stand, we see her talking to a guy, kind of making plans with her, having fun with him, laughing and joking, what have you. Then she makes a plan with him and says, hey, this is going to be a one-time thing only. You don't call me, you don't see me, you don't do anything. And the guy was okay with it. Just like any guy would be okay with it, really, if they're about to get free pussy. I mean, shit, if they're desperate enough and thirsty enough, you know, hell yeah, we're going to jump on that opportunity. So, as she's in her house with this dude, she literally has a fucking meltdown right when she's with this dude. Now, let's disregard all the stalker stuff. Let's throw all that shit out the window. Let's throw all the stalker stuff out. Let's throw out the whole, like, just because she went to a psychologist and they were trying to scam her for her insurance money so they could get paid. Let's throw all that out the window. Let's focus mainly on the person. Let's focus on the person. It's almost like if we see a drug addict, and sad to say, if they overdose, people be like, hey, that's on that person. Let's focus mainly on that person. And that's a fucked up sense of thinking. By the way, I've always seen, like, in comments, man, like, people down, like, really downing people who have, like, real addictions. That's fucked up, man. I mean, those people need help, in my opinion. But moving on. Yeah, let's just judge her for the person that she is. So, she's with this guy. She's about to have a one-night stand with him. She's kissing him. Then all of a sudden, she just breaks down and have a mental breakdown and starts screaming and crying and all that shit. The guy's fucking confused. He doesn't know what to do. So she goes into the bathroom. What does the guy do? He has no other choice but to leave. He's already like, this chick is crazy. I'm out. That was one. Again, not really a strong point, but kind of like a builder point. Now, here's where the strong point comes in about the sociopath part. Number 2, she takes advantage of Nate. Now, when she's there the first time, she's not getting along with anybody. She's not getting along with Violet, who is played by Juno Temple, and that's pretty much her nemesis throughout the whole fucking movie until later with David. Oh man, that scene was fucking crazy. But moving on, yeah. So she doesn't get along with anybody. She's reluctant to even talk to Nate, who is trying to just be a friend and give her insight. But she's not listening. But then in one of her rages that she get and outbursts, she gets tied to the bed. And while she's tied to the bed, she sees Nate is on the phone. So she sees this as an opportunity to blackmail him. Yeah. I don't know about you, but that is classic sociopath behavior. She's trying to one-up him, take advantage of him. Pretty soon she tries to friend him and try to make everything seem like she's a victim. But really, I feel like she was the catalyst of everything. Because here's what happened. Somewhere around the movie, David finally reveals himself to her. She starts really tearing him down. Talks really does mad shit to her. Tells him he don't know shit about her, even though he was there with her while she was taking care of his dad in a hospice. Because that's how they knew each other. He fell in love with her. And this is what I was looking at. I was seeing as David not only just a real passionate man, but he is a stalker at the end of the day. I'm not taking that away from him. He's still a stalker and a murderer. But he actually did love her. I mean, let's take all the stalker shit out of the window for a moment, you guys. Let's look at it as the fact that this dude actually knew what kind of breakfast she likes, her favorite book, her favorite music, even her favorite moments in life. I mean, even though that's still, he was a stalker in that part, but let's be honest, this guy knew everything about her. Now, here's the thing, I would have kind of like played devil's advocate with a little bit. You know how women always say, like, men ain't shit, men don't remember shit about women. Now, just because this guy is a stalker, he knows everything about her. Everything. Now, let's take this in account. How many dudes, let's think about this in this way. How many dudes do you think Sawyer, the character, had men that actually remember everything about her, including what kind of breakfast she liked. And the answer is none. She didn't have any. And it's funny because she actually confirmed that shit too. But in that mist, she was using her manipulation tactics as a sociopath while talking to David to make him feel like shit about himself. And it's crazy too, because I'm just thinking, like, when I was looking at the movie, I was just thinking at it in a whole different aspect. And my brain probably is a little crazy for thinking that, because at the end, once again, I'm not taking away that he's a stalker. He's a stalker and a murderer. Just straight up. But for the simple fact he was able to remember all the things that she liked. Women, how many guys do that shit? The ones that aren't married. Come on. How many of you that have dudes that remember everything like that? I mean, it is creepy in some sort of way. But at the same time, don't we always want somebody that kind of remembers stuff about us? Almost kind of like the little things too. I'm not trying to justify the stalker shit or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, we need to kind of let David give him a little bit more credit and kind of not come on him so hard. Like how the fucking movie kind of does. I was kind of feeling sympathetic for the dude for a minute. Because clearly Sawyer was the crazy one. Because even after she kills David, spoiler alert, after she kills him, she still sees this motherfucker everywhere. Before she even seen him in the hospital, she's seen this motherfucker everywhere. Now, I mean, call me if I'm wrong. I mean, don't we usually consider people who hallucinate and see people everywhere that go crazy? I'm just saying, that's usually my thoughts about that. But yet, here we are in this movie, and we're playing victim to this woman who actually had a man who truly would do anything because he loved her. Aside from him being a stalker and a murderer. I'm just saying, if you guys watch this movie, I'm telling you, look at it straightforward at first. Then look back on it and look at it from the other side around and see David's point of view. And why he was doing the things for her. I mean, in the end, I mean, it's almost like he had unconditional love for her that no one else will be willing to give. But she didn't want that shit. She didn't want it. She was just like, dude, you're crazy. You're a stalker. You're fucking nuts. You said you'll kill yourself if you couldn't have me. And just all this other negativity shit. It's like, shut up. Oh, man. But if you guys want to check out Unsane, definitely check it out. That's my point on it. It's a good movie. Definitely check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. If you guys have Amazon Prime, definitely check it out. I'm about to close out the show right now. And before I close out the show, let me tell you what I'm going to be up to for the next couple of days before the next podcast come out. So right now, I'm watching the show Dead Like Me, like I mentioned earlier. That's probably going to be my watch for a little bit while. I'm also going to try and catch American Horror Story. It just recently got uploaded to Netflix, finally. Yeah, American Horror Story Cult. I could finally fucking watch it. Definitely been waiting for a while. I'm still kind of upset that Netflix got rid of Archer, Family Guy, Boondocks. There's a whole list of other shit I could mention that I'm kind of upset that Netflix got rid of. But at least out of all the shows, they managed to keep American Horror Story, and they brought in a new season. And I am very grateful for that. So I'm definitely going to try and check that out. Hopefully, I might even talk about American Horror Story as far as a TV show and all its amazingness. Maybe we could have an argument or talk about some shit that we liked from it in the comment section. Also, if you guys want something to watch, you know, the weekend coming upon us, no matter where you at, I mean, or maybe throughout the week, you know, Oculus, check out Oculus. It is on Netflix also. I watched that movie recently. It's pretty good. It's very interesting. The movie is based upon this haunted mirror that's been around this family for so long. I mean, it killed the family's mother and father and had the son convicted of murder. It's definitely a possession movie that should definitely be checked out. I'm starting to get a little bit more interested in the possession movies. I mean, I know before, in a couple of episodes before that I told you guys, I wasn't into like the ghost stories. But since Veronica, Entity, the Ouija Experiment, and a couple of other movies that I've watched, I've been becoming real interested in ghost stories. Now, I still hate fucking Paranormal Activity. Those are fucking stupid to me. I love Insidious. Insidious is good, but I really don't really consider those movies like ghost stories or possession movies like that. I mean, I guess it is possession, but there's always seem to be more demons in there. Conjuring, I can't wait to finish watching the Conjuring series if they bring more movies onto Netflix. But yeah, check out Oculus. That's definitely one to check out. And also check out the other movies that I talked about, which today was Unsane, Terrifier, and that's a must-see. If you guys need to see something, Terrifier is a must-see movie to watch. Especially if you're somebody that's into slasher films or gory films, definitely check that movie out. And check out All Hallows Eve on Tubi also, and All Hallows Eve 2, that's also on Tubi. Other than that, I'm out of here, motherfuckers. So this is your boy signing out. Walterdoom. Oh my god, how the fuck am I fucking up my own name? Oh man, that's what happens when you take too many shots before you do this shit. I'm kidding, you guys. I didn't do no shots today. But yeah, signing out. Let's talk about horror. Your boy Walterdoom. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now, motherfucker. Oh man, if you guys can't tell, the only reason why I say that shit so much, I love that fucking song. I mean, if you guys don't like Childish Gambino, I don't know what's wrong with you. But anyway, I'm signing out. Peace.